Alright, listen close. There comes a moment when a man ain't loud, ain't angry, ain't begging anymore. He's just done. And that silence, that clarity, that's the moment everything changes. Alright, let's dive straight into the part nobody wants to hear, but everybody needs to feel. Because the truth, women fear, ain't cruelty. Cruelty's loud, predictable, stupid. You see it coming like a storm with a neon sign. But honesty, real raw, unfiltered honesty, that's the assassin. That's the knife that doesn't swing. It just appears right where it hurts the most. And it ain't because men want to attack. It's because truth don't need to scream to shake the ground. It just lands and everything starts cracking. See, honesty don't expose her clothes, her makeup, her mistakes. Nah, it exposes the patterns she keeps pretending you never noticed. The late replies that magically show up fast when she needs attention. The sweet words she drops only when she feels you slipping. The promises she makes when she knows damn well she ain't keeping a single one. Truth puts a spotlight on her intentions like someone snapped the lights on in a dark room and suddenly all the shadows she was hiding behind start melting away. That's what she fears. Not your anger, not your frustration, not your pain. She fears the moment you look her dead in the eyes and say, I see you now. Because that's the moment the magic trick dies. That's the moment the smoke clears. That's when the game she's been playing starts sounding like a broken beat that the world finally hears out loud. You ever notice how people panic when you stop being blind? How they get defensive when you stop accepting half-assed love? Yeah, that's honesty hitting them where they live. Because truth is the only thing that doesn't negotiate, doesn't sugarcoat, doesn't care about how fragile someone feels. Truth is a mirror, cold, reflective, merciless, and once you show it to someone, they can't unsee the face staring back. And women fear that moment, that split second when you stop believing the version of her she paints and start recognizing the version she hides. The version that's indecisive, selfish, inconsistent, convenient. The version that only shows up when it's beneficial and disappears the second you need something real, solid, steady, human. Honesty exposes the fact that she never loved you. She loved what you gave her. Your attention, your time, your devotion, your heart bleeding on the floor at 3 a.m. And she fears the day you realize it. The day you connect the dots and stop being the guy who forgives everything. Because once a man sees the pattern, once he sees the cycle, once he sees the blueprint, he ain't the same anymore. He gets quiet, calm, focused, and that silence scares the hell out of her because it ain't confusion anymore, it's clarity. And clarity is lethal. It kills the excuses. It kills the emotional manipulation. It kills the I didn't mean it and you're overthinking and it's not what it looks like. Clarity turns every lie into a neon sign, every intention into a confession, every pattern into evidence. And once you see it, once you really see it, you can't ever go back to being blind. You won't chase the same mixed signals. You won't break your own back to hold together a connection she keeps tearing apart. You won't let your heart be a playground for someone who never planned on staying. The truth she fears is you waking up, you leveling up, you stepping into your worth with a spine made of iron. The truth she fears is you finally saying, I'm done with your patterns. I'm done with your cycles. I'm done playing a role in a story you don't respect. Because when a man stands in honesty, he becomes untouchable, unmanipulatable, unstoppable. And she knows it. That's why she fears honesty. Not because it destroys her, but because it destroys the version of her she used to control you. Truth is the only thing that turns the tables without flipping them. The only thing that burns bridges without lighting a match. The only thing that ends the game without breaking a sweat. And once you speak it, you won't ever have to raise your voice again. Let's break this down the way life breaks down a man right before he wakes up. Because the moment a man reclaims his self-respect, that ain't just a sentence, that's an earthquake. That's the kind of shock that hits her harder than anger, harder than arguments, harder than every apology she expected you to spit out like you owed her your voice. See, people think the scariest thing a man can say is I'm leaving. Nah, the real punch, the real knockout line is when a man stands there calm as ice and says without saying it, I finally respect myself more than I want you. And that right there, that hits her soul like a siren she can't outrun. Because self-respect ain't loud. It ain't messy. It ain't emotional. It's steady, straight, sharp, like a blade that's been waiting in the dark to be remembered. And when a man finally picks that blade back up after years of cutting himself to keep someone else comfortable, she feels it. Deep, real, immediate. See, she got used to a version of you that bent, the you that forgave before thinking, the you that said it's okay, even when it wasn't, the you that waited for replies that came late with excuses attached. The you that showed up every damn time she snapped her fingers. The you that turned your backbone into a doormat just to keep the peace in a war she kept starting. But the moment a man stops doing that, the moment he stands back and remembers who the hell he is, the moment he stops chasing, starts choosing, stops breaking for someone who wouldn't bend for him, that's when everything flips. She thought silence meant weakness. She didn't realize it was the sound of you rebuilding. She thought your patience meant blindness. She didn't realize you were studying her patterns like a crime scene. She thought your heart made you soft. She didn't realize it also made you dangerous once you learned how to protect it. Self-respect is the one line she never prepared for. Because it ain't a threat. It ain't revenge. It ain't drama. It's a man finally saying, I know what I'm worth. And I don't trade diamonds for dust anymore. And damn, that hits harder than any breakup sentence ever could. Because here's the truth nobody teaches. When a man respects himself, he becomes unpredictable in the best way. He doesn't stay out of fear. He doesn't leave out of anger. He simply walks where he's valued with shoulders straight, chin lifted, and a heartbeat that no longer kneels for anybody. And she's not scared because you're gone. She's scared because she knows a man who respects himself never comes back the same. He comes back cleaner, sharper, focused. He don't tolerate the bare minimum. He don't chase affection that hurts. He don't accept almost, maybe someday, or I'm trying. He wants truth, effort, consistency. And she knows she either steps up or gets stepped past. That's the shock. Yeah, that's the sentence. That's the line that hits like a beat drop she didn't expect. When you say without saying it, I'm not afraid to lose you. I'm afraid to lose myself. And I'm done doing that. Self-respect turns a man's voice into a weapon and his silence into a warning. It makes him walk different, talk different, think different. It gives him that fire in his eyes she ain't seen in years, the fire she thought she put out. Because when a man reclaims his respect, he stops looking for love in places that never held it. He stops begging for attention from hands that were never steady. He stops proving his worth to someone who didn't see it. And she realizes, maybe for the first time, that losing that man isn't losing a lover. It's losing a blessing. The most shocking sentence a woman can ever hear, ain't I'm leaving. It's when a man says, in whatever way he chooses to say it, I choose me now. And that's the moment everything changes for you, for her, for the whole damn story. Hey, let's talk about the moment that flips a whole damn universe upside down. That one line a man says that ain't loud, ain't angry, ain't violent, but hits harder than any argument ever could. The moment a man finally looks at his life, his heart, his peace, and says with a steady, grounded voice, I'm done lowering my standards. Man, that sentence ain't just words. That's a transformation. That's a resurrection. That's a man coming back to life after letting himself drown for somebody who only showed up when it was convenient. See, lowering your standards is easy when you're scared of losing someone. You tell yourself it's fine, I'll adjust. It's okay, I'll tolerate it. It's nothing, I'll let it slide. Because you think love means shrinking, folding, bending. You think loyalty means accepting crumbs and calling it a meal. You think sacrifice means bleeding quietly and hoping she notices. But the truth, every time you lower your standards, you raise her comfort zone. Every time you let something slide, you teach her that you'll accept it again. Every time you settle, you show her she can give you the bare minimum and you'll clap like it's a gift. And the wild part, she ain't scared while it's happening. Why would she be? You're predictable. You're soft. You're safe. You're the man who'll stay even when he's hurt, show up even when he's ignored, love even when he's starving. But the second you wake up, the second you say, nah, I'm done shrinking myself for someone who won't grow, that's when everything changes. Because that sentence, I'm done lowering my standards, that's a rebirth. That's a man remembering who the hell he is. That's the moment your soul picks itself up, dusts off the pain, and says, I deserve more. I'm not apologizing for it. And she feels that shift instantly. Women feel energy like temperature. They notice the moment the room changes. Suddenly your tone is calm, not desperate. Your silence is intentional, not confused. Your decisions are firm, not shaky. You're not angry, you're awake. And that's what rattles her. Not the sentence, not the words, but the meaning. Because when a man sets standards, real standards, respect, effort, consistency, honesty, it forces everyone around him to either rise or exit. And she knows she can't play the same games anymore. She can't disappear for days and expect you to greet her like royalty. She can't offer half love and expect full devotion. She can't treat you like an option and expect you to act like she's your only choice. Your standards expose her effort. Your boundaries expose her intentions. Your worth exposes her patterns. And suddenly the power flips. Not because you took it, but because you stopped giving it away. See, when a man stops lowering his standards, he stops loving from desperation and starts loving from clarity. He stops trying to keep someone and starts choosing who actually deserves to stay. He stops breaking himself into pieces and starts building himself into someone stronger. She ain't used to that version of you. The version that doesn't crumble when she threatens to leave. The version that doesn't beg for reassurance. The version that doesn't chase someone who's already walking away. She's used to the man who bends. Not the man who stands, but once you say it, once it actually leaves your mouth, once it becomes real in your chest. I'm done lowering my standards. You stop being the backup plan. You stop being the emotional punching bag. You stop being the easy yes. You become the man who values himself enough to walk away from anything that hurts more than it heals. And that's the moment she realizes, maybe too late, that you weren't asking for too much. You were asking the wrong person. When a man raises his standards, his whole world shifts. He attracts better people, better energy, better love, better life. Because the universe matches the level you set for yourself. And when you stop lowering your standards, you stop losing yourself. You stop settling for pain. You stop worshiping someone who wouldn't pray for you. Everything changes because you finally did. Let me paint this picture clear, raw, and real. The way life feels when it hits you in the chest so hard you stop breathing for a second. Because power, real power, it don't come from yelling. It don't come from breaking things. It don't come from storming out like some tornado ripping through a room. Nah. Power comes from the moment a man finally walks away without a tremble in his voice or a crack in his soul. Not in anger. Anger is loud, messy, desperate. But in clarity, that cold, calm, unshakable clarity that says, I'm done fighting for someone who ain't fighting for me. And believe me, that's the line every woman truly fears. Not the threats, not the shouting, not the slam doors, but the moment you go quiet, the moment you stop arguing, the moment you stop explaining yourself like your heart is on trial and she's the judge. Because clarity means you finally see things the way they are, not the way you hope they'd be. And that clarity, that's deadly. Because it ain't emotional, it's final. Women can handle anger. They expect it. They know how to talk you down from it, twist it, flip it, cry through it, use it. You're still connected when you're angry. Still invested. Still hooked. But clarity? Clarity means you unplugged from her. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Your heart ain't in the room anymore, even if your body is. And she can feel it like a temperature drop. It's the way you look at her, not broken, not hurt, not begging, but understanding. The way your voice don't shake when you say, I hear you. I'm not arguing anymore. The way your footsteps don't echo chaos. They echo purpose. The way your silence isn't empty, it's full of truth you tried to avoid for too long. To the moment you walk away in clarity, she realizes something she never thought she'd have to face. She lost a man who finally opened his eyes. And you can't unsee the truth once it hits. Clarity is knowing she had chances. Clarity is knowing you fought for something she treated like a backup plan. Clarity is knowing your effort was real and her consistency wasn't. Clarity is accepting that love without respect is just the pretty poison. And that's what scares her. Not that you're leaving, but that you're leaving awake. That you finally see your worth. That you're done being the hero in a story where she kept playing the villain and calling it mistakes. That you're done being the man who forgives everything just to keep something that never kept you. When a man walks away in clarity, he isn't running. He's rising. He isn't escaping. He's choosing. He isn't broken. He's rebuilt. That's when she realizes the truth she never wanted to admit. A man who walks away in anger might come back. A man who walks away in confusion might return for closure. But a man who walks away in clarity, he don't look back. He's done negotiating his worth, done explaining loyalty to someone who didn't practice it, done bleeding just to prove he can stay. Clarity is the moment you stop asking, why doesn't she love me right? And start saying, I deserve someone who does. Clarity is the moment you stop chasing apologies and start chasing peace. Clarity is the moment you stop being afraid of being alone and start being terrified of losing yourself again. And women feel that shift in their bones. They know when a man's heart goes cold in the healthiest way possible. Not numb, not bitter, not toxic, but aware. Aware of what he gave, aware of what he lost, aware of what he needs, aware of what he'll never settle for again. And that awareness, that's the line every woman fears. Because once a man becomes clear, he becomes untouchable, unreachable by manipulation, unmoved by guilt, unshaken by I'm sorry, unaffected by the same patterns she used to keep him hooked. When a man walks away in clarity, he ain't punishing her. He's saving himself. And there's nothing more powerful, nothing more terrifying, nothing more final than that. So remember this. Real power ain't in walking away, man. It's in walking away awake. When a man leaves with clarity, not chaos, he never looks back. And that's what shakes the whole world behind him.